Welcome to another episode of the Bintegers. My name is Binyam. I'm your host on this podcast. Here we talk all things integrity. This is the place where integrity calls and wholeness responds. And so glad you could spend a few moments on this first day of 2024. Happy New Year to all of you, wherever you may be listening in from. I came to realize recently that perhaps my favorite time of year, like as far as holidays go, is New Year's. And I want to share a little bit about why that is one of my favorites. But before I do, let me just do a quick feelings check-in, because on this podcast, we love practicing and modeling what integrity looks like. And for me, in the way I understand integrity, it starts off with honesty with self, honesty with how I'm thinking and how I'm feeling. And that's a big thing for me, because for many years, I didn't feel I had the safety to be able to express what was really on the inside. And after a lifetime of developing that pattern of shielding and blocking others from seeing where I really was, it evolved into this dynamic where I didn't really know who I was and what I stood for and what it meant to be me. And so hence why we carve some time out on this podcast to be able to do that personal check-in. And as I do so, I want to model for you how that looks like. And I want to encourage you also to give yourself that gift, of acknowledgement and saying, in this moment, where are you at? And how are you feeling? And what's going on internally for you? For some of you, this might be quite a new experience, quite a disconcerting experience, especially with reference to the fact that it is unfamiliar territory, and it's a scary thing to look inside, especially when you don't know what you're going to find, especially when those internal discoveries may seem too overwhelming to bear. And so, in this moment, I am feeling expectant for a new year. And I'm also feeling a little bit of fear as to, do I have what it takes to pursue the things that are on my radar, the things that I have set as goals for myself? There's a sense of inadequacy. There's that word, inadequacy. Do I have what it takes to follow through on all that I have been intentionally pursuing? So that's where I'm feeling. I'm feeling a little bit of fear in reference to what's ahead, but also supremely optimistic and excited about what this year is going to bring. There's so much that I have to share. And the word that came to me, I did a yoga exercise a couple of nights ago with a dear friend. What was it? It's like a nidra exercise, I think. And basically, it was just helping me process through some of my intentions for what I want to accomplish this coming year. So that was really helpful. And the word that came forth for me was this desire to be generous with this theme of integrity, this theme of personal integrity, and what I want to put out there. I want to be generous in this department this year. I want to lavish. I want to give so much in this realm from the deep wells that I've been drinking from. And so that's where I'm at. This sense of optimism, excited, like being excited, and also a little tinge of fear. But where are you, my dear listener, my dear Binteger? Where are you at in this moment? Where does your heart find you? Where does your mind frame find you in this moment? I would love to hear what that looks like. Or if you're not comfortable sharing, at least give yourself these moments to be able to reflect on that. But I wanted to share why New Year's is one of my favorite times of year, one of my favorite holidays. There are so many to choose from Christmas to Halloween to Valentine's Day to all the others in between. And when these holidays come through, they don't hit me as much as when I think of what New Year's does for me. For example, on Valentine's Day, when we celebrate love between individuals, whether it's platonic or romantic, in my mind, often thought about how I want to approach that theme of love. And I want it not to be a once a year sort of acknowledgement, but throughout the year one. So I endeavor on my personal end to actively express love in all the spheres in which I am engaged, from my family to my friendships to those who I'm being romantic with. I want to express that ongoing throughout the year. Christmas, another wonderful one where there's themes of generosity, there's themes of giving, there's themes of family, like all these beautiful things that are wrapped up in Christmas and are so many different things from person to person. But I want to also encapsulate all those as much as I can, not only once a year, but throughout the year. And so I appreciate that these holidays are moments for some people to say, oh, this has not been on my radar, and so I'm going to focus on it, and that's a helpful thing. But I want to imbibe those values and characteristics throughout the year for me personally. And so I usually don't immerse myself in these other holidays as much. But when it comes to New Year's, Eve, these past few years, I've been approaching it with a certain sense of reflection, because it seems like an opportunity to start all over again, like a new chance to try again whatever one wants to commit themselves to. Now, some have thought of this by way of New Year's resolutions, and for some people that may bring in an intimidating category, because they're like, I've tried resolutions every year and I just keep on flopping and failing at them. And I try to do this, a diet, or I try to go out and exercise, or I try to accomplish X, Y, and Z. And the prevalent response to New Year's resolutions, in my observation, has been one where people just feel defeated, disillusioned. They don't want to commit to it because it's somewhat discouraging when you just have those flops over and over every year. I haven't had that bad aftertaste with reference to the word resolutions, but a friend last night shared with me at the party that I was at a video that I watched this morning, and it was helpful, like in reframing what could be. And this video is basically suggesting, instead of thinking of resolutions, think of broad themes that you want to pursue for the year or for a season. Broad themes that you're like, hey, this resonates deeply with me. I want to apply myself to this, but not in a specific way where it's like, I got to do X, Y, and Z, and this is what it looks like. But more so, here's the pathway or trajectory that I'm going to be going on, and seeing how things evolve over time. So you're giving yourself that space, you're giving yourself that permission to explore without having definitive things that you are going to fail on. So maybe your desire is to read more books this year. So instead of saying, I'm going to read like 100 books, it could be something more like, I'm going to pursue a theme of reading this year as often as I can. And without those clearly defined bounds, you are free to walk into it and start acclimatizing in a way that may be more organic, perhaps. Now, some might need that decisive, no, I need to see these markers like a book every week or something like that. And so they may want to implement that. But I really resonated with the theme of doing this in a gradual way, ramping up to it by way of thinking of themes. And when I was doing that yoga nidra the other night with this dear friend of mine, I was thinking about what my goal is this coming year in the content I want to create over time, and how often I want to do it, and how this is a really big challenge for me, because one of the things I want to work on is consistency this year. But the theme of generosity for me just stuck. I was like, the reason I'm doing this, the reason I want to commit myself to this year of exploring this theme of integrity and sharing that as my focal point, is because I want to be generous with what I've learned and come to experience in my life. And so that's why I love New Year's Eve, is because it's kind of like that time in the year where it's almost like a fresh start. You're starting a brand new year, first day of the first year, and there is lots of potential of what could be. And as I approach it, and as I have been approaching it these past few years, these themes have come into my frame of reference where I'm like, oh, I see this. So let me share with you some of my past themes in the past few years. Last year, my theme that I was pursuing was I want to gain familiarity in talking to strangers where there has been no predetermined reason for why we should be interacting in the first place. So I didn't meet these people because of work. I didn't meet them because they were introduced by friends. I didn't meet them because we were at a mutual party. It's strangers that I have no connection with prior to. And I just approach them and I establish a wonderful conversation and connection with them. And so I got a chance to do that this past year and practice and implement that over the course of the summer when I did my series of interviews in the parks, which you can find on my other YouTube channel under my personal name, Bintegers. And that was such a delight. It was so good. It was scary, but it was good. The year before, it was the theme of getting acquainted with the color pink, because growing up, it was a color that had been discouraged for guys to associate with because it was a feminine color as I was growing up. And so I wanted to rework that storyline in my mind, saying, but it shouldn't be. And so I started acquiring a lot more pink items of clothing to wear, just to be able to say this has nothing to do with my masculinity or my awareness of it. It's just another color that I'm going to make friends with. And so that was that year. And so in previous years, I had other commitments, of course. So I really have benefited from setting these themes. And one of the things that goes into setting a theme for me is thinking through what is it that I feel I'm wanting to grow into that is challenging. There's a slight element of, ooh, can I really do that? You know, and it's not so overwhelming that I'm like, oh, this is like unreasonably like inaccessible. Like it's not impossible. It's more like it's possible, but it's going to require some growth for me. And so this year, up to this point, until a couple of days ago, I've just been thinking in terms of I want to do a whole year of podcasting every day. And that's daunting, especially for me, because one of the values that I have is consistency, and I've struggled with that so far. But it's one that I still want to keep on striving forward towards. And I imagine I may miss a few days along the way, but I still want to apply myself to it. But the key insight that came out as I was doing this yoga nidra with this dear friend of mine was, why do I want to do this every day? And for me, it's because I want to express generosity. I want to express generosity where I'm feeling it. I'm like, ooh, this is a real investment for me. And so this means a lot to me to apply myself this way and to do this. And so that's where I'm coming from on this first day of 2024, on this embarking of this project that I'm on. And I like that. I really find that rings deeply for me. The reason why I'm doing this is because I'm driven by generosity. This is my year of being generous. There's so many other ways that I've heard that I'm generous already, but I want to be generous in this way. This is where I want to yield forth the best that I have so that it serves you guys as well. My dear Bintegers, I would love to hear from you though. What is it that is on your radar when you're thinking of what you want to experience this year? Where are you wanting to experience some amazing growth in your personal life? I would love to hear what that looks like for you. And if you feel comfortable, do share that in the comments below. If you haven't had any chance to think of what you want to accomplish or pursue this year, may I encourage you to consider pursue integrity. Pursue integrity for yourself, where you can experience wholeness. If you haven't experienced wholeness for a while, subscribe, follow along in this channel, and let's grow together as we apply ourselves to becoming transformed, amazing specimens of humanity. Talk to you soon.